Please use your side out and get down to the family in the front.
So we begin our service first going to turn to a ritual. It's known as Kriya Ter. As we create a tear in the ribbons that we're wearing to represent the tear that has been created in our hearts with Ellie's loss. You know that this is a difficult moment. We do so standing and standing together in support of one another. Understanding that this is a moment that we need to move forward. I'll ask that you say Ata with me. Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Dayan Amen. Praise the name of God, ruler of the universe, who is the judge of truth. And as we learn in the book of Job, Adonai Adonai Lakach, Hishem Adonai Mevorach. God has given, and has taken away. We thank God for all the leaders in between.
Seats or so you can trust you.
Ladies and gentlemen, as we begin our services, if we can please kindly turn off all cell phones or electronic devices, or please place them on silent. Thank you.
Kirachem av al banim, richam Adonai al Yirayav. As parents has compassion for their children, Adonai has compassion for those who show reverence. God knows how we are fashioned. God remembers that we are dust. The days of mortals are like grass. We flourish as the flowers of the field. A wind passes over us and we are no more. But Adonai's compassion is everlasting. God's kindness to children's children endures age after age, unchanging. We're gathered here this afternoon to honor our beloved Ellen Brooks, who has gone to her eternal home. In difficult moments like this, over the generations, over the centuries, our people have sought words of comfort and support, and for that they have turned to the ancient words of the Psalms. And that's just what we will do in this moment, as we turn first to Psalm 121 and then to Psalm 23.
I lift my eyes to the mountains. What is the source of my help? The opening of the psalm poses that question, and as if the act of lifting the head upward and looking outward brings answer, The rest of the psalm follows. The source of my help is the Lord, creator of heaven and earth. He will not let you falter. Your guardian does not slumber. Surely the guardian of Israel neither slumbers nor sleeps. He is at your right hand to protect you. The Lord, your keeper, gives shelter. The sun will not strike you by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord will guard you from all harm. The Lord will preserve your soul. He will guard your going and coming from this time forth and forever. Mizmor LeDavid. Adonai ro'i lo echsar binot deshe yarbitzeni, amei menuchot yinahaleni. Nafshi yishovev. Yancheni v'magle tzedek l'man shemo, gam ki elech begetz ha'mavet lo irara, ki ata imadi. Shiftecha mishatecha hema nachamuni, taroch lefanai shulchan neged zorai, dishanta v'Hashem l'roshi kosi levayah. Ach tov v'chesed yirdefuni kol yemei chayai, v'shavti b'veit Adonai le'orech yamim. The words of Psalm 23 are so familiar to us in the English. Many of you know them from memory. Recite with me. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He guideth me in straight paths for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou hast anointed my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever.
In the annual Torah reading cycle that we read each week and each Shabbat, we're currently at the very end of the book of Deuteronomy, the end of the book of Devarim, the fifth and final book of the Torah. And when we turn to the holiday of Simchat Torah in just a little over a day, we will start the Torah all over again with the book of Breshit, the book of Genesis. And we see in that very first book in the Torah that when a loved one dies, it becomes the tradition for loved ones to step forward and to offer words of eulogy and memory. And that's exactly what we will do now, as we'll be hearing from Ellen's beloved family, first from her three children, who I'll invite all together, first from Debbie, and then Michael, and then Becca, and then finally from her husband, Lee. Debbie?
So I wanted to say that this sucks. This should not have happened. And I also wanted to apologize. I had no idea how hard this was until I went through it. And for those of you who I was not there as I should have been, I'm truly sorry. I hope I never have to be there for any of you again or ever. But I will be if I have to. This should not be news to any of you, but my mom was the coolest person ever. Truly my role model. I remember in college hearing Hillary Clinton speaking about female role models and turning to a friend and telling him that my mom was my role model. He asked why I was telling him and not her. So I told her, and she knew. She was a doctor before it was cool, a brilliant psychiatrist and psychotherapist when people did not do both, a mom to 3 kids who all turned out pretty good, if I say so myself, and the best to her grandson Max. I loved hanging out with her and just watching TV or reading or shopping. I called her every day since Max was born because I never knew how much I needed my mommy until I became one. She was with me for his birth and cut the cord. They say you're born alone and you die alone, but that's not true. You're born skin to skin, and I wanted to make sure that's how my mom went. So while she stopped breathing with all her family around her, her pacemaker didn't stop until all of her kids shared a group hug. She always said she wanted us to get along when we asked what she wanted for a holiday present. And we generally did. But I know she knew we were giving that last hug, and she felt at peace enough to leave. I love you so much, Mom. I know we told you every day, but you can never say it too much. I love you. I will always love you forever. And thank you for everything.
Just in case. It was really nice getting 90 hugs, so thank you guys. That was actually a very nice way to start all this. Thank you all for coming. You honor us and Mom with your presence here today. There's nothing I could possibly say that could live up to the true legend of Ellen Brooks. Her charisma and warmth lit up rooms for each of our lives, whether you'd met her the first week of medical school or a recent trip abroad. She was a brilliant physician that changed the lives of tens of thousands of patients, and she was the most human person I've ever met. She was a master of balance, kindness, and connection, all things I aspire to every day. The brutal vignettes of the past few weeks will fade into a sea of happy memories. But the lessons Ellen Brooks taught me will guide me forever, and I thought I'd share a few with you all here. Lesson number 1, book the trip today. For Mom's 50th birthday, we shared a 17-day, 11-country Euro trip from the comfort of a Globus bus tour. That trip sparked a change in mindset for Mom and Dad when they decided that we were finally old enough and they were fortunate enough to be able to take us traveling. What followed were trips like Beijing with Dad for a talk series, Munich and London with the family to visit Becca abroad, Greece, Russia, and the North Sea, Baltic Sea, and many more. I'm forever grateful that she was able to join Jess and I in Reykjavik when I proposed a few years ago. Look at these horrible last few months, even started with an infection she got while snorkeling in the Galapagos. She was really badass. She was never far from an adventure, and because she and Dad decided to book the trip today, we have mountains of memories to cherish now that she's gone. Lesson 2, give yourself grace. Ellen Brooks was someone you could count on to no end. She would do anything for her family and friends, and we will share countless of stories of Mom moving mountains for the people she loved here today. She was always there in the toughest times with perspective and epitomized the adage, don't sweat the small stuff. As we traverse this future without her, let's take her lead of holding extraordinarily high standards while giving us and those around us room to be human. Lesson 3 in our final lesson, your people can be your biggest strength. Mom always had a fan club. Whether it was friends she met in the community or on trips, or folks she interacted with in her work life, Mom taught me an equation that I consider one of the secrets of life today. Relationships and people in general may fail you at times, but in the long run, when you put incredible trust in the right people, you can achieve a level of connection that can accomplish anything. That's no better represented than this room today, so full of love and loss. I'll close with this, and it is unrelated to Debbie's story, but a family member left a voicemail this week with me that ended with a funny message. Welcome to adulthood, it sucks. But because of the lessons of connection that Mom taught us and the community she built around us, we find ourselves extraordinarily lucky and comforted to be surrounded by all of you. Mom and I were very, very close, and I'm fortunate to say that I got to say all the nice things to her that she deserved to hear when she was alive. I'll summarize it here again for you today, though. Mom, you were the best mom anyone could have asked for. We will miss you dearly, and we love you so, so much. Thank you for everything.
I have some tough acts to follow. Thank you all for coming today and helping us put my mom to rest. Ellen Brooks loved being a mother. She told me that she knew from an early age that she's always wanted kids. When we were little, and Debbie used to tease me that I was the whoopsie baby, my mom would always respond by pointing to her and Michael and say, "Practice, practice makes perfect." The love she had for her family manifested in both amazing acts of service that she would absolutely hold over your head and incredible life advice. When I was a freshman in college, my first semester, I contracted swine flu. I was sitting alone in a dorm room, completely miserable, and it broke my mom's heart. So she drove up to Brandeis 6 hours each way to pick me up and bring me home. Oh boy, did she bring that up every chance she got. She also bought me my first romance novel. She was at Borders, and when she picked up the book I requested, she called me immediately and said, "Rebecca Brooks, there's a half-naked man on this cover. I'm mortified to buy this." She bought it anyway and claimed she could never show her face at Borders again. My mom was a staunch advocate of progressive causes. She attended the Moms Against Gun Violence March in DC, then later one of the first marches for reproductive rights in the early 2000s, and she always encouraged us to get involved. It had a huge impression on me, seeing my mom attend these marches. When the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade, I walked down to the Supreme Court building to protest. Afterwards, I called her, and she said, "I wish I could have been there. Did you light the building on fire for me?" As you can imagine, Mom's life advice was hilarious and spot on. One of her favorite sayings was, "It's just as easy to marry a rich man as it is a poor man." And this saying was often accompanied by side-eye towards my dad. And like an Abbott and Costello show, my dad would respond, "Wow, you have it so hard. Show Beck your new Yerman earrings, dear." One time, in the pool with Deb and myself, she quizzed us on the 5 annual holidays where a gift is expected from your Jewish husband. So we rang off birthday, Valentine's Day, Hanukkah, anniversary, and I shouted out Wednesday. And she started cracking up and said, "I like that, we'll go with Wednesday." The final holiday was actually Mother's Day, which to Ellen Brooks served as a national holiday. If you did not attend Mother's Day in person, you were on her shit list for months. As many of you are aware, Mom was one of the funniest people I've ever met. A few years ago, we rented a house down the shore for the week, and the whole family showed up. A few of us decided to take some edibles, and my mom did not heed our advice and took a pretty high dose. When I scolded her for it, she said, "Beck, I'm fine. I don't feel a thing." Then she walks over to the stove, stares at the range hood, and says, "You kids are going to have to show me how this shower works." I love you, Mom. Wherever you are, I know you're cracking jokes and serving us the life of the party. Thank you for always looking out for us and teaching us that if you can't laugh about it, what's the point? Thank you.
There's not a lot to add to what the kids have already said. I'm humbled as I look out on this gathering, realizing the many people whose lives she touched. The kids have told you about their relationships with their mom, and I'd like to share with you some of the comments that you, her patients, colleagues, and friends have sent us. If I don't quote you, it's just we thank. If I didn't quote you, we know that there were just too many wishes to go for, to just say everything. So first, I'm going to have a word from one of our patients. And they said, I'm so sorry to hear of your wife's passing. My wife and I were patients of hers. She made a huge difference in my life, and I know my wife was very grateful for all the time that your wife spent with her. She'll be missed by many, and all of us were blessed by having her as our doctor. Okay, we have some comments from her colleagues. I see so many of her patients still. They talk of her like she is a family member, adored by them. I'm so sorry for Ellen's death. She was a remarkable woman and my best mentor when I was a psychiatry resident at the Cleveland VA. Another one said, I am in shock hearing this devastating news. Ellen was my mentor and hero. She was a gift to everyone who knew her. So those are some of her colleagues. And many of you are friends. My heart is deeply saddened by the loss of your wife, soulmate, and best friend. No one, excuse me, no one could ever fill Ellen's shoes. She was a wonderful and loving wife, mother, grandmother, doctor, and the best friend I ever had. My heart is broken for all of you. I'm so sorry to hear of the passing of your wife, mother, and our friend Ellen. You are a great family, which is a reflection of your mom's goodness. Now she will be happy at the shore, and will never have to go back in. Her love for you, the kids, and especially Max, was evident in her big smile. Grief will be there. May all of the memories you shared shine through. I am so sad. What a lovely, vibrant woman she was. A good friend to my mom in particular. She brought laughter always and was enthusiastic about everything with our family and yours. So grateful to have known her. Excuse me. Ellen was such a wonderful woman. I know she had so many plans to enjoy life by the beach with you and your family. I am sending love to all of you as you say goodbye too soon. Okay, finally, in the words of Joni Mitchell, you don't know what you got till it's gone. I will miss you, Ellen.
I want to thank Ellen's family for those beautiful words. Thank you, Debbie, Michael, and Becca, and Lee. Those moving words of tribute and memory. And also, we'll never be able to look at a stovetop range again in the same way. Today is the last day of the holiday of Sukkot, which we call Zman Simchatenu, the time of our joy. It feels like a sad irony then to be here at this moment. Ellen Brooks was taken from our world all too soon. She had so much more life to live. How could we possibly reflect on this theme of Sukkot today? And yet, when we reflect on Ellen and her life, the theme of Zman Simchatenu actually feels appropriate. That's because Ellen Brooks loved to bring joy to others. Ellen lit up our world through her kindness, warmth, joy, and a deep understanding of human emotions and needs. She did this first and foremost for her family, as it was family that was always at the center of Ellen's life. To Ellen's beloved family, namely to her husband Lee, her children Debbie and Michael and Becca, to her daughter-in-law Jess, to her grandson Max, to her brother Bart, sister-in-law Ellen, and brother-in-law Doug. We offer you our condolences and sympathies on this tremendous loss. Ellen, or as she was also affectionately known as Mom, or Mama Bear, or or El, or even apparently Marcia, was a devoted wife, a loving mother, a cherished grandmother, a good sister, and a loyal friend. Ellen touched all of our lives, and today we can think of Zman Simchatenu, the time of our joy, as the time that we all got to spend with her, just as she so loved bringing joy to all of us. Ellen was born on September 16, 1955 in Philadelphia. Her parents, Arlene and Bill Friedman, built a family based in love. She grew up in a supportive home and spoke fondly of her childhood. She loved her siblings, Lauren, Zichrona Livracha, of blessed memory, and Bart. Although their childhood was certainly not without sibling rivalry. As the family told me as a young child, Ellen would chase her brother Bart around the house while wearing wool socks and holding a quarter. She was trying to shock him, of course, because doesn't everyone do that? The family spent their summers down the shore, and Ellen grew up attending the JCC camp in Margate, which the family affectionately calls Camp by the Cesspool. Ellen played JV basketball and was an excellent student. She was the valedictorian of her graduating class at Abington High School. And a fun fact about Ellen, she was the manager of the high school rifle team. Why? Not because she had an affinity for guns, quite the opposite. Rather, as she told her family, because the captain of the rifle team was extremely attractive. Ellen went on to enroll in a special 5-year program, which she spent 1 year at Penn State and then 4 years at Jefferson Medical School, and graduated with both her undergraduate degree and her doctorate. She was one of only 4 female students in her medical school class. You see, she was both intelligent and wise, 2 traits that served her well over her lifetime. One of the best things that happened to Ellen while at Jefferson was that it was there that she met her best lifelong friend, Dale. Over the years, Dale and Ellen traveled extensively, including numerous trips to Ellen's favorite place in the world, Maui. Ellen met her best friend in Philly, but she met her beshert in New York City. Lee was a fellow at Harvard, and he had a co-fellow that was a friend of Ellen's from medical school. In November of 1981, Lee was heading home to New York for Thanksgiving. His co-fellow invited him to go to the Village to listen to some jazz. Little did Lee know, but it was a setup. Ellen was also going to be there. Ellen and Lee hit it off, so much so that not long after, when Ellen was supposed to be flying with Dale to California to interview for jobs, she instead told Dale, "I don't think I'm going to move to California with you, because I think I found the one." Ellen knew almost immediately that Lee was the one. So I asked Lee if he knew as quickly, To which he replied, "It took her a while to convince me." Lee, thank God you came to your senses. Lee and Ellen dated for a little less than 2 years, and then were married on August 7th, 1983. Now, you know, when a couple stands under the chuppah to get married, we recite Sheva Brachot, 7 blessings of joy. In 2 of these blessings, we pray that the couple become Re'im Ahuvim, beloved companions. Ellen and Lee were certainly beloved companions. They shared many common passions. They loved their Philly sports teams. Ellen would have loved to have seen the most recent Phillies Braves series. They enjoyed playing bridge, going to the movies, shows, and restaurants, and they committed to every Saturday night being date night. They also loved to travel together. We heard from Michael about many of the trips. China, a 17-day family bus tour of Europe for Ellen's 50th birthday. And in March of 2018, a TBS trip to Israel, led by Rabbi Lindemann, where they made some very close friends. The list goes on. Most of all, they shared a love for each other that grew roots and then blossomed into 39 years of marriage. Re'im Ahuvim, loving companions, blessing fulfilled, a relationship built on love and joy. Ellen and Lee shared many common interests, but Ellen, of course, had her own passions as well. Ellen had an amazing sense of fashion and style, and as we've already heard, she loved her jewelry. Or as Lee put it the other day, the people at J. Roberts Jewelers, let's just say they know us by name. Ellen had a great sense of humor, but as her family told me, she was notoriously bad at telling jokes. She loved to shop. She loved anything and everything Springsteen. She was a voracious reader, and she loved, loved, loved the beach. It was her dream to have a beach house, a dream that was fulfilled when she and Lee finally purchased a house down the shore 1.5 years ago. Ellen would get up early and spend all day on the beach, reading and taking in the sun. And for Lee, it was his job to bring her lunch, usually subs, later in the day. As we heard, Ellen was also proudly involved in progressive causes. She cared deeply about equality and justice. Another defining character trait, Ellen acutely felt the pain of others. She cared deeply and loved fiercely. And this was certainly manifest in her career. Ellen was a greatly respected and successful adult psychiatrist. When she lived with Lee in Boston, she worked at Tufts. When they moved to Cleveland in 1983, she worked at the VA. And then when the family moved to Voorhees in 1996, she started at Cooper, then worked at Virtua, and eventually opened her own private practice. As we heard from comments that Lee shared, she was adored by her patients, many of whom followed her from practice to practice. She treated them like family. You see, Ellen was a people person. She connected with and understood people on a deeper level than perhaps most. Her loving care brought comfort and joy to so many. And this was especially true for her children. When I met with them on Friday, Debbie, Michael, and Rebecca described their mom as super reliable. They knew they could always count on her, whether it was picking Debbie up from a camping trip in Ohio in the middle of the night because she didn't like all the bugs, driving Rebecca through a fierce snowstorm to a fencing tournament in Saratoga Springs, or running through multiple stores searching for the Megazords, you'll have to let me know what that is later, and Pokemon cards that Mike just had to have. They all knew they could count on Mom. Even more, on Friday, Mike said that his mom taught them all the value of kindness, how to be good people, and how to work with people. At which point Lee chimed in and added, "Some of us are simply untrainable." Debbie and Becca shared that their mom loved to sing and make up songs. She had a song for everything, including songs that helped them learn important phone numbers and even their address. She had her own set of songs for each kid, which she sang to them at bedtime. Rebecca added, "Mom was a huge mental health advocate, not only for her patients, but for us as well. She encouraged us to take mental health days, and she was big on feeding your soul and doing what brings you joy. That's simcha, simchatenu. Debbie added by succinctly saying she was simply the best mom in the world and the best grandmother. As we heard, Ellen was with Debbie when Max was born, and boy, did Ellen adore Max, and Max loved his She would visit often, and she would visit as often as she could, and she insisted on talking to Max either on FaceTime or phone every day. So many beautiful memories, so many lives touched, so much joy. Yet we know that not every moment of Ellen's life was joyful, and this was especially true of the last 6 months. What started as a family vacation to celebrate Ellen's retirement ended with her in the hospital. Last March, the entire family went on a cruise to the Galapagos and then to Machu Picchu. Ellen must have had a scratch in her leg when she went swimming in the Pacific Ocean, and it developed into a terrible infection. They returned from their trip on April 1st, and Ellen was hospitalized a few days later. She would spend much of the next 6+ months in the hospital, with the infection spreading to the bone in her right foot, her eye, and her heart. She underwent dozens of surgeries to treat the infection and ultimately needed open heart surgery. The last straw was her chest incision getting infected, a different infection altogether, one that was tragically acquired in the hospital. Ellen was taken from our world too soon, but she was a fighter who continued to bring love and joy to her family and friends until the end, and they did the same for her as well. Lee, Debbie, Michael, Becca, Jess, well, I know that this is an incredibly difficult time, and Ellen's loss leaves an eternal hole in your heart. I hope you can find some sense of peace today, knowing that you did right by her every step of the way. The care and love that you showered on her throughout her life, and especially these last 6 months, was a true gift that you gave her. A gift that she cherished and appreciated more than you can possibly know. How do I know? She told me so. When I visited her in the hospital the day before her open heart surgery, Ellen was obviously nervous, and she so badly just wanted to go home. We prayed together, we laughed together, and we cried together. And then she looked me in the eyes and she told me, "I'm so lucky. I have the best kids in the world. And although he sometimes drives me absolutely crazy, I hope Lee knows how much I love him and am thankful for him." One more story. Remember I mentioned that when Debbie, Michael, and Becca were young, Ellen would sing to them each night. Well, they told me on Friday that one song they remember vividly is from a book that they would read entitled "Love You Forever" by Robert Munsch and Sheila McGraw. Ellen made up the song using lyrics from the book. Curious, I decided to look up the book, and I think it's a message that very much speaks to this moment. The book is about the unconditional love that a mother has for her child. It begins with a mother rocking her newborn son and singing, "I'll love you forever, I'll like you like always, as long as I'm living, my baby you'll be." The child grows up, and while he may drive his mother a bit crazy by day, each night she sings to him, "I'll love you forever, I'll like you for always, as long as I'm living, my baby you'll be." This continues even into adulthood until one day the mother calls her son. She informs him that she is sick, and she asks him to come over right away. When he arrives, she starts to sing, "I'll love you forever, I'll like you for always. But she can't finish the song because she's too weak and sick. The son walks over to his mother, picks her up, and begins to rock her back and forth. And then he sings this song. I'll love you forever. I'll like you for always. As long as I'm living, my mommy you'll be. And then the book concludes with these words. When the son came home that night, he stood for a long time at the top of the stairs. Then he went into the bedroom where his very new baby daughter was sleeping. He picked her up in his arms and very slowly rocked her back and forth. And while he rocked her, he sang, I'll love you forever. I'll like you for always. As long as I'm living, my baby you'll be. I can hear Ellen's voice singing this song. And today, I can also hear you singing it back to her. Can you hear it? Yes, there may be tears, but there is also her gentle smile. Zman simchatenu. Today, despite our tears, we remember all the joy that we shared with Ellen over the years. We remember her kindness, her unending love. Yes, her life has come to an end, but Ellen lives on through her deeds and through her legacy, all of you. May our memories of Ellen forever bring us joy, and may they be a blessing for all the days and the years to come. As today, we say to her again, we'll love you forever. We rise for memorial prayer. Exalted, compassionate God, bring infinite rest in your sheltering presence among the holy and the pure, to the soul of Ellen Brooks, who has gone to her eternal home. Merciful One, we ask that our loved one find perfect peace in your eternal embrace. May her soul be bound up in the bond of life. May she rest in peace. And let us all say, Amen. You may be seated. Immediately following the conclusion of our service here in the chapel, interment will take place at Crescent Memorial Park in Pennsauken. And the family has asked me to announce that this afternoon the family will be receiving comforters at the Legacy Club at Woodcrest starting at 4 p.m. And then after the holidays conclude, there will be 2 evenings where we will have a minion of comfort, and the family will be receiving support and visits at their home, which is at 28 Bunning Drive in Voorhees, New Jersey. That's on Wednesday and Thursday starting in the late afternoon and into the evening with Minyan at 7:30 p.m. both evenings.
Will the pallbearers please step to the center aisle? And I'll ask if we can rise once more, please.
For everything there's a season, a time for every experience under heaven. A time to be born and a time to die. A time to plant and a time to uproot. A time to tear down and a time to build up. Time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to grieve and a time to dance, a time to throw stones and a time to gather, a time to embrace and a time to refrain. Time to seek and a time to lose, time to keep and a time to let go, a time to tear and a time to sow, a time to keep silence and a time to speak.
Those upon being dismissed, those of you going to the cemetery, please be sure to move directly to your cars. You can feel free to stay and talk in the lobby, but if you do, please step to the right-hand side of the lobby so that it's a chance for people to walk out to their cars. People in this row, we can get to the right cars, please. People in this row.
Let's see.